Now, I haven't seen the latest episode, but that's okay. I'm going to let you tell
I'll try
me about
not to
it.
spoil too much. I
That's
will
okay.
try to focus only on the tech. Stan, if you want to go for a walk, I know you haven't seen the new season yet. It's up to you.
Well, I'll stay here, but I'll kind of doze off and zone out.
All right. Close your eyes and think about Ida. So one of the first things that caught my eye in this episode, or caught my ear, I suppose, is Elliot's in the car, and he doesn't have any of his hardware anymore. And he says to the guy who's driving the car, "We need to stop at Microcenter." And I was like, oh my God, because that's something that I think all the time. So Microcenter is a pretty cool store. I think it's one of the few stores you can go and buy.
It's like one of the few ones left where it's actually got like real computer equipment.
Yep.
Especially if you're like a home hobbyist, you want to build your own. They got a whole section for doing that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry.
And then they go to Microcenter, and it must be like the middle of the night. He's the only person there. But like if you've ever been to a Microcenter, you know what the signs look like. You know what the bins with the giant overflowing baskets of whatever it is you want to buy. I absolutely went to a Microcenter and filmed the scene there. So I was kind of excited because I really do like this store.
I wonder which one they did, because they filmed that
in New
somewhere
York usually.
in New York, New Jersey area. There is one, right by us.
Yep.
Anyway, so we're in New Jersey, but.
So it wasn't that one,
Okay.
but I'm sure they found one somewhere around New York.
Okay.
He picks up a can of Pringles, which for a second evaded me as to why he had bought a can of Pringles along with all this stuff. But then he goes home and he starts, cutting into the can and taking out cables and stuff, and he builds a Cantenna, which was a very popular thing to do for a long time. Was if you couldn't afford yourself a real metal Cantenna, you would buy a Pringles can, and you would do a little modification, a little bit of math, and you would build one. Now, he doesn't go ahead and do all of that. Like it's a little bit cheated. Like instead of, you're supposed to like make that pigtail wire and stick it into the can at a certain length from the opening and all that other stuff. Right. I think he just like puts the cable in and keeps the wireless card at the end of the cable, which isn't quite right. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it would work. I imagine it wouldn't. But it was good enough for the show. So they fudged a little bit in my opinion, but the fact that they brought up the Pringles Cantenna was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of old school though.
Yeah,
it is an old school technique. Especially nowadays, you can get much better antennas.
You can buy those at Microcenter. So I was like, so why would you do that? But another little thing, when he fires up that Cantenna, one of the access points is "I did it for the lulz," which it's a phrase that has a bit of a hacker story behind it. He does do something really interesting and a little bit scary, is he fills out a form and he faxes it from a fake phone number to the police. And it's an exigent circumstances form, which allows him, apparently, to request information about a phone number, which you normally would not be able to get, as long as you have evidence that there's exigent circumstances. And the case that he uses is that someone is about to commit suicide. He needs to locate the person, so he calls up the police and says, "I am this badge number, I have this situation, I need you to identify the location of the phone in order to identify this person so we can save their life," which is a complete fabrication, but apparently it works. So that was a little, in the show it works. It's a little unnerving. I really don't know enough about it.
So there was social engineering really going on there.
Absolutely. So he had a badge number, and he was speaking the lingo well enough that he convinced the person on the other end that he was a police officer and that he was making a legitimate request for this information. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, a little unnerving.
Right.
But that was probably the creepiest thing of the episode, but he does get what he wants eventually. He uses Spokio, which I think we've talked about, they've mentioned on the show before, which is sort of like a people search site.
Right.
And he's able to locate who he's looking for. And the one question I had that I didn't know the answer to was, Darlene makes a reference to a hackerspace on Canal Street. And I don't know that there actually is one in New York City there, but it would be a really good place to have one, because Canal Street is known for having electronic shops, and you can get all sorts of crazy stuff from the very cheap bins on Canal. So it's not accurate to the real world, but somebody thought about where you would put one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was kind of cool.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think I managed to not spoil too many plot points.
Yeah, I'm still.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
You really only talked about the tech, I think, and not the actual storyline. So I think I can still watch it and not really have
Well, I
too
think
much
I'm going to
spoiled.
enjoy it more now because of the
Now
commentary
you're right.
you
Now you
provided.
can look
Now I'm
for
going to
all
be
these
looking for
things.
the Cantenna done incorrectly.
I have noticed this season specifically, they have really been showing a lot of screens as part of and they'll have URLs or different things that they're showing, which are actually visitable.
Yes,
like
they are creating
real
those.
things out there on the internet you can go hit, and they bring up menus and interfaces.
And some of them are fun because, if you've watched the latest episode, there'll be some reference to something that's going on in the story. Like there was one of those pages had a little chat room in it. One of the characters is like, so what was the name of that FBI operation again? And if you enter it in because you've watched the episode, it continues on and tells you a little bit more.
Oh,
so I
interesting.
think it's sort of an Easter egg for people who are watching the show and want to go and test out all the things that they're seeing. You know, you'll find stuff that's related and you'll get a bit more out of
there's
it.
a lot of little Easter eggs like that. Like there was another one, we probably already talked about this, where they had, Elliot has like his little journal. This is early on, maybe episode 2, and he's writing in his journal, and there was like
QR
a hand-drawn QR code,
Yep.
which I immediately like scanned. I paused the TV and scanned it, and it does take you to somewhere. I can't remember what it was.
Technologies.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little things like that that they've put into the show to give, I guess, people who are really paying attention some extra things to go look at, kind of cool little side things to go look at, which is kind of fun. It's interesting, I think they've done a lot of things with this show that is really kind of tailored to the security, not only regular people to kind of get them into the spirit of it, but people who are really into it, give them a next level to go take it, kind of in a way.
And if you don't know anything about it, it gives you an excuse to start Googling everything you see on the show.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. Good show.